Hello, hello. There we go! Welcome to the wake! All right, and I know if Johnny Rios is watching right now, he's going, learn how to get the microphone to work, all right? Look, I'm doing it like he's Italian. But, all right, hey, I'm not a professional. The day you pay me, I'll start being a professional. All right, so, as one, I apologize for not doing the wake last week. I haven't been keeping up with things. I apologize. I'm getting my knee replaced this coming Wednesday. If you guys are praying, right? So throw a prayer in for me. But where was I? I want to thank the doc for indulging me. And we did 10 episodes in the span of 6 days. So the last 2 weeks, I've watched like probably 15 different movies, right? And I focused on the 10 upcoming ones, but I watched a handful more, knowing that we're gonna do some more this year, and I got other projects going on. Now, let's talk about this movie last night. Christopher Lee, right? He reminds me of Robert Mitchum. And the reason why I say that is Robert Mitchum said, as long as they'll pay me, I'll show up, right? And Robert Mitchum, tough guy, cowboy movies, right? Mob movies, right? And stuff like that. The last couple movies that he was in, right? And I remember because they were on USA Network, when USA Network used to have the like 11 o'clock movies where it was like, Bikini Car Wash or like Bikini Babysitting. I mean, like they had all of these, 80s, like R-rated, like PJ content, R-rated because, they got chicks in bikinis and boobs and all that hanging out, right? He was in 2 different Bikini Car Wash type movies, right? And I remember watching it going, the hell is he doing in this movie, right? And then not too long after that, he was like, hey, they offered me money. I'm going to be putting my grandkids through college, So what the hell? But anyway, so Christopher Lee took this movie, and if you had heard some of the facts I was throwing out there, right? He was promised that there was going to be like John Carradine and a bunch of other, like, popular American actors were going to be in it, and they didn't. Then they weren't. So he gets there, right, and he's like, "What's this?" Right, and he did, and he did it because they paid him, right, and Christopher Lee, a man of honor, guy's a knight, also some MI6, and knows how to kill a man through the back of the ribs, right. I remember the first time I read that quote where he explained to the director what actually happens when you stab somebody in the back, right? And he went, it makes a oosh, goosh, ing sound. And the director's like, what does that mean? Well, when you're stabbing him there, right, and you stab it in there and you have to get it between the 2 ribs, you want to kind of tilt the knife a little bit so it lets all the air out of the lungs. What a badass. I mean, this guy, he did like heavy metal albums, right? He's been in every decent franchise out there, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, let alone Dracula, and all the movies he did at Hammer Horror. Him and, oh my God, the whole horror crew, right? So, and this movie, it's a movie about the end of the world with aliens that you see no aliens. You see that cool portal they made, right? It's like the diamond-shaped portal, sort of like the Stargate, but like in a diamond shape, right? And it wasn't really thrilling. It was just kind of like bad dialogue, bad action scenes through the whole movie, Now, will we show this movie again? You're damn right, because you got to admit, it was fun to watch because it was very laughable, right? And that's what the Doc and I, like when we have movies like this, okay? I mean, movies that you can't save at all, right? Like Killer Driller. Talk about a baptism of fire, And we have our 2-year anniversary coming up. Can you believe that? We're going to have 100 episodes, our 100th episode. We're going to do Plan 9 from Outer Space. I want to let you guys know that up front, right? Voted in 1980 one of the worst movies ever made, right? And it is a bad movie. It's hysterical when you watch it, right? I mean, you got Tor Johnson, right? Who's, was played by Georgie Animal Steel in the Ed Wood movie, right? And you got Ed Wood as a director, right? Who's just ass bonkers to begin with, And you get vampires in it. You're going to, I loved that movie. And I remember seeing that as a kid. So, when I was a kid, I have 4 sisters, right? And the only time we actually ever went to the movies, right, as a family, was to the drive-in, right? My dad, big sci-fi guy, right, Papa Darbarian, right? We would go, and at the time, and I imagine it was like this for everyone else, we are in the Philadelphia area, and there was a drive-in just about every other town, There's one in Philly called the 61st Street, which was a drive-in built in the middle, right, of where all the junkyards are in Philly. Honest to God. Smelled great, especially at night, But then, like every little town, just in the area that I lived in Darby, we had 5 within 2 or 3 mile drive. It was great, So the first time I saw this, they had a science fiction night at the McDade Drive-In, right? And they had theme nights, a lot like the Mahoning Drive-In has now, right? And I believe it was either Memorial Day or for 4th of July or Labor Day when they would have the all-nighters, right? So they would play some good, interesting movies, the first handful, from 9 to 11, boom, boom, boom. Then once it got to 2 o'clock in the morning, they just threw stuff out there, right? And movies like this, right, were what my dad enjoyed. And then he would make sure that I would be up. So we had our van, right? An old Chevy van, right? And my dad had it customized, which was actually really cool, right? He backed the van into the spot, right? Open up the back doors, right? He'd have all the seats turned around, right? So the back seat of the van was actually facing the screen, right? We'd have our lawn chairs out, right? Every now and then my dad would bring a hibachi. He'd be making hamburger. It was so much fun. I loved the drive-ins back as a kid. And they would have movies like this, okay? And that's where my love for all these really bad B movies came from. This, and watching Dr. Shock, Son of Svengoolie when it was on in Philly, Creature Features, right? As time went on, like Elvira, Dr. Morbus. Oh, my God. I used to love when I would go up into the mountains and stuff where I could pick up the New York TV stations, and they be Channel 9 and Channel 11, right? OR and PIX always had the best science fiction stuff. I loved it. I mean, Space 1999, but anyway, all right. So, the end of the world, as we know it. Oh, did you like my preview I did? It's the end of the world that we're showing. I thought it was funny. All right. So, what else? Oh, so, the boss won. All right, so let me tell you about what's coming up in Cemetery Simo, right? So, for the next few episodes, we have, right? Let me move my microphone, right? So, end of the world, right? We did that last night, right? I like the fact that we're actually getting movies with stars, Christopher Lee, right? But then next week, we have Super Zombies, Long Live the Dead, too, right? So we had Long Live the Dead on a few weeks ago, right? Zombie movie, that was the one that was taken into prison, right? Very entertaining movie. We have the sequel now, Super Zombies, Long Live the Dead. And what this movie is, it's like it's a sequel, but like 20 years into the future, and what they're doing with the zombie apocalypse and all that. And you guys will enjoy it. It's actually a very entertaining movie, and I loved it, right? And Ken or Keith, thank you very much for loaning it to us, right? And then we move in to some classics, and I can't wait. We have the Basket Case trilogy, right? Now, if you guys don't know what Basket Case is about, basically there was a conjoined twins, right? One was a normal-looking twin. The other was like this globby mess, right, that was attached to his side, right? And they were, and as conjoined twins are, right? They're not just bound; they're bound psychologically. You know what I mean? They're bound mentally. And they removed him, right? And basically, they keep him in this basket, this wicker, like picnic basket, right? And he takes him wherever he goes. Well, the movie basically is a story about the two of them as individuals and everything that they're going through. And it's just, and when you get to the third one, you're like, man, what a grab for cash. Like, they were looking to make a movie that will air on Cinemax every night, which it did. And if you grew up in the, if you guys grew up in the 70s and 80s like I did, right? Like, movies like this, I mean, there were so many bad horror movies that came out that you could not wait to go see them at the movie theater. And we had dollar movie theaters back then, right? Which ate these movies up, right? And then VHS was just starting up, and then you had your movie channels, right? HBO would always get the better movies, right? And then you had the secondary tier, like Spotlight. You guys remember Spotlight, right? Spotlight and Cinemax after 11 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? But then they had, it was in Philadelphia, that Prism. A lot of cities had their own movie channel, right? We had Prism in the Philadelphia area. And then they had, Showtime, Spotlight. I can't think of all of them, right? But they were all like lower tier channels for movies, but they would have all of these movies that were pretty much released right to video. You know what I mean? I mean, they, even though some did have limited runs at drive-ins and things like that. I can't wait till it gets to It's Alive. Oh my God. What a bad. I think that's a quadrilogy. That's like 4, right? Can you be a quadrilogy? It's like trying to talk, you talk about like the Bond series or Star Wars, right? I mean, movies that just keep going on. Godzilla, I mean, they're 40 movies strong right now, And Godzilla didn't get his first Oscar until he was 70. Think about that. So guys, never quit. All right. Right? And then so we have Basket. Then after that, we have Frankenhooker, right? Frankenhooker, I thought for the longest time was in the Reanimators universe. It's not. It's in a different film company, right? But still owned by Troma, right? And it's just funny from beginning to end. It is a true horror comedy, and it was made to be a comedy. And it's just one of those movies you're watching, and you'll yell, "What WTF?" probably 30 times. Honest to God. Because I remember watching it way back, right? Now, talk about going into the Wayback Machine, right? The first time I saw this movie, right, a bunch of guys, I didn't live there, but I was there all the time, right, had a house down in Philly. They all went to what do you call it? Drexel University, right? So, I already graduated college. So I didn't live there, but I was there all the time, right? And they had a thing. They had the cable, right? But they had this thing, and it was like a paperclip. I mean, they're all engineers, okay? Paperclip wrapped in wire, right? Off their cable box which allowed them to get the cable channels for free. Granted, occasionally they were kind of like staticky, like you're watching through a snowstorm, but, right, you got free cable. And we watched, it was Reanimator, Frankenhooker, and then Reanimator 2, I think it's Bride of the Reanimator or something like that. One night, after coming back from the bar, and honest to God, when the movies got over, it was daylight, and we sat up all night watching these bad movies, and I loved Frankenhooker. To me, it was just like, when you get a bad movie, right, and you want to, you define it by how many WTF moments, like, what the fuck just happened there? You know, that's Frankenhooker. And and the Long Island accents that they try to have are hysterical, pardon me. You know? So, I can't wait for Frankenhooker. You guys will thoroughly enjoy that bad movie. Right? Now, if you guys are out there watching me right now, right, do me a favor, put in a comment, share a like, right? You know, we're trying to you know, help promote the show, and I want to know how effective my wake is doing. I know I get a lot more views on the wake when it's not live, when I share it later on. And then after that, we have I'm Haunted, right? I'm Haunted, right? The series from our friends up at Higher Universe, right? And it has Elizabeth Chamberlain in it for like maybe a couple minutes, and then there's a couple of scenes where they're showing from I'm Haunted 1 and all that, right? You know, even though she is the driving force behind that series, right? She's really not in it a lot. And it's a pretty good movie. The thing is, it was only an hour. So what we did is I got permission from Elizabeth to throw in one of her songs, right? One, Creep, and the other one, and the other one is a clip, and it's called Muscle or something, right? But it's sort of like The Office in a gym, okay? And she plays it's the funniest bit. Right, so that's going to be I'm Haunted. So it's sort of like a double feature, right? Deep Space, I have not seen that yet. I'm going to do that solo, okay? And that's going to air on April 3rd. Figure by that time I'll be up and about, and I'll be able to hobble on down here to the lair, you know, in my subterranean studio, right? As opposed to the Doc's subterranean laboratory, right? Down here in the lair. And I'll be able to do that episode. And I can't wait, because that again, guys know I like the science fiction end of this, right? Then we have Blood Eaters or Toxic Zombies, right? Same movie, right? And it's about people who turn into zombies on a illegal marijuana farm in California. And the movie isn't that long. It's only like 80 minutes, right? So we added in a ton of 80s like anti-marijuana commercials, right? Like, this is your brain on drugs, or, you know, why do you smoke marijuana? Well, marijuana doesn't affect me anything, right? And two guys sitting in the house, and they pretty much watch movies all day. Sort of like me, except I'm not like the big head. You know, I might indulge occasionally. And the reason why and I'll be free to admit it, I am a medical marijuana user, mainly because I have rheumatoid arthritis and my knees. And honest to God, my one knee that I'm getting fixed has gotten so bad that it's okay when I walk on it most of the time. It's when I'm not walking on it, it hurts like a son of a bitch. So I've been taking the medical marijuana gummies so I could sleep at night. Anyway, right? We added in a ton. Probably, I think it's like 6 different marijuana commercials, and you guys will laugh your asses off, okay? Then after that, the refrigerator. And I wish they had one called The Microwave, so we could get Chris, our good buddy Chris Van Bross of the Haunted Microwave on, which would have been hysterical, right? But, we only had, it's only a refrigerator, and it's like the refrigerator to hell. It's a funny movie. You guys will love it, right? It's another movie that totally makes fun of living in New York, which it should be. Sorry, John. All right. After that, we have Rituals, and that movie actually is too good for our show. I hate to say it. It's a Canadian version. It's sort of like the Canadian version of Deliverance. You know what I mean? And Rambo combined, and it's really good. I hate to say it, but it's actually too good for us. You guys will love that movie, right? And the Doc and I, right? Now that movie's 100 minutes long, so we only have 20 minutes for our content. So we kind of let the movie speak for itself, and we kind of like took a back step with our bits because we wanted you guys to focus on that movie, right? After that is Bells. It's another movie I'm going to be doing solo, right? It's got Richard Chamberlain in it, right? And that one, I believe that's another Canadian horror movie. A lot of UK, Canada, man. Can't wait to get all your movies. Can't wait to your 51st state. Kidding, right? Or at least Alberta. Oh, and just funny, politics-wise, right? Alberta is in the midst right now of wanting to make themselves out of their own country. That will be, like, politically in the world, that will be one of the most, like, weird things that happens. You know what I mean? I have a friend of mine, he lives in British Columbia, and I was talking to him about it briefly. We were texting back and forth, and he was like, one of the big questions is, will they still be under the crown? Wow. And all the stuff that's going on with the English aristocracy right now. You never know. But, all right, that's enough of me yapping about that. So, we have Bells coming up, right? After that, Basket Case 2 of the trilogy, right? And that Basket Case 2 takes it in a completely different direction. You guys will thoroughly enjoy that, right? Then we have Evil Ed. Evil Ed is just a movie that you'll watch, and you'll watch this poor guy just slowly go insane by watching horror movies. It's a comedy, right? I never heard of this movie before, and I actually thanked John for getting us this movie. I've never seen it before, never even heard of it, right? And I just loved it. It's hysterical, and you're watching this guy slowly go crazy, Then we have, right, the Friday Memorial Day weekend, perfect weekend for it, right? Our 100th episode, and I can't believe that we actually made it to 100. I didn't think we were going to make it through the first year, honest to God. Right? Mainly for a lot of reasons. I didn't know, how good I was going to be. I didn't know how good teaming up with the Doc was going to be, which was the best pairing ever since, like, Abbott and Costello, I swear to God, right? And, like, I thoroughly, right, enjoy, and I can't thank John Murray and Johnny Rios enough for, helping me along with this. And look where we are now, 100 episodes, right? And Plan 9 from Outer Space, Bela Lugosi, Vampira, Tor Johnson, right? Stars, right? In their own right, in horror, right? Looking forward to having that show. It's going to be amazing. And Doc and I, we did our bits, right? But we're going to have a ton of our bits, from prior episodes to kind of celebrate the 100th episode, right? Then after that, we have Honeymoon, right? Basket Case 3, right? And Honeymoon we didn't film yet, okay? We did Basket Case 3 already. Honeymoon I haven't seen, right? And that'll take us to 6/5. And then on 6/12, right, we will be hosting our second anniversary, right? And the doc has arranged for us to get 2 movies from the Tales of Dracula series, right? Independent movies, right? One's an hour, one's a half hours, right? So it works out great. And we're going to have them for our second anniversary. And again, on that one, we'll show some of our bits from prior shows, and then people, wishing us happy birthday and all that kind of stuff. Okay? And then as we get into the summer, right, like I said, we're filmed up to the 5/29. Or actually, no, we're filmed up to, we're filmed up to 6/6, 6/5, right? And then, we have to do honeymoon, right? And then, like I said, we have, as we go into the summer, right? The doc and I are going to break off, and we're going to do, 2 shows apiece individually, right? That way, it gives us a break, right? So we can, in the summertime, doc travels, I travel, you know what I mean? And we're going to have a couple different funny movies, right? One is going to be Curse of the Aztec Mummy. The doc's going to handle that one. And the doc's also going to do White of the Eye. Right? Now, I haven't seen that one, so I really don't know a lot about it. Right? I'm going to do Billy the Kid versus Dracula. Right? And that's going to be, I'm going to do that, green screen live from Darby, Montana. And I've written those guys. I haven't heard back from anybody, which is kind of a bummer. I do have the rights to use some video clips that one guy did get back to me as he went and he toured Darby, right? And Darby, Montana, not a lot different from Darby, PA, big biker area, right? The one bar was a biker bar, which I thought was funny. Reminded me of the Wolf Rock back in the day, So, and then our big thing that we're going to have, right? We have a couple other movies coming up. We have one Yesteryear in Mystic Metrodome. That's from, it's 2 independent movies we're going to show one night. Again, another 60 and 30-minute movies, right? I forget who loaned them to us, but we're going to have them on 9/18. And I don't know why we picked 9/18, but that's when we're going to have them on, right? And then for Halloween, we're going to have Monster Squad, right? And Monster Squad, what a great movie from the 80s. This Monster Squad made a lot of people monster kids, So, right. So that's what we got going on Cemetery Cinema. What do we got going on the station? Well, the station has... Oh, man. Why is that so big? That's what she said. No, wait a minute. This is the new schedule that John just did. And John loves doing graphics, which is great because it makes my job easier here. All right. All right, good. So what I'll do is I'll flip it. All right. So, come on. Movie, yes. All right, so what he has coming up, right, starting next week, March, right? And this is the Monday to Fridays, right? So Friday is not going to be movie day all day, which was actually kind of cool because it was one of those things. Like I would just pop the station on and just let it run when I was working from home, But starting at 10 o'clock, Annie Oakley, Kit Carson, the Cisco Kid, Sky King, which I loved as a kid, and Bracken's World, right? Bracken's World I don't know a lot about, right? And then The Cat, Garrison's Gorillas. I don't know what that's about, but that just seems extremely hysterical. The Invisible Man, Sherlock Holmes, and The Lone Ranger with Clay. So the Lone Ranger that was out in the 50s and 60s that I grew up with, right? Can't wait for that, right? And like I said, they're starting next week. So basically, he wanted to go country western, right? Go with westerns in the morning, in the afternoon, right? Break it up, right? Between I think Garrison's Gorillas. I don't know what that is, right? But this The Invisible Man, sci-fi, right? Western with the Lone Ranger, mystery with Sherlock Holmes, mystery with the Cat, right? Really good, entertaining shows. So what you do is you put channel 48 on all day, right? Let it run, and you will be entertained the entire day. But there's more. We have 2 new horror shows coming up on the channel, right? One is, and let me get the pictures, right? One is the Tennessee Macabre, right? Now, I've heard of them. Doc has seen them, and Doc says they're very good. They're very entertaining, right? And it's, you know, it's going to be it's going to be like redneck horror. I can't wait. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And then another one, Malvania. And if I screwed your name up, I apologize right off the bat, right? She's out of LA, right? I haven't seen any of her stuff. I'm going to be watching one of her episodes tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm doing a deep dive, watching a bunch of movies, and I'll explain a little bit. You know, before I go get my knee worked on, right? But I want to see what she's about, right? And I want to see, you know, how she does her show, because I'm always looking to learn and see how other people do their shows. And, right, I was texting her back and forth. Thank God she's in California, because it was like after John posted some of the things, I was like, oh, let me text her, not realizing that it's 11 o'clock Philly time. Our show's over. And the 3 of us, to John's, we usually text each other after the show, right? Or during the show a lot of times, right? And I said, well, I'll get a hold of her. So I texted her at 11 o'clock last night. Thank God it was 8 o'clock in California. And she's up for doing an interview. So I'm going to get a hold of her, probably like in 2 weeks, right? And then do a quick interview with her and, you know, see what she's about, right? And then I'm also going to do that for the Tennessee Macabre people. I just haven't got a hold of them yet, because I couldn't find them on Messenger. But I will. All right? And yeah, so we got that. We got this. We got that. Oh, all right, don't forget, we got the sports coming up, right? We have the First Responders League for football coming up. We cover the New York Fire Department one. And I just found out a friend of mine, well, somebody I know down here, actually is involved with the Philadelphia one. So I'm hoping to get him on for an interview one day. Or if they play in Philly, right, when the New York teams play down here, get to the game, you know. We're going to have the Boulders baseball. We still have the hockey with the Wolves and the Danbury Hat Tricks. And guys, my son turned me on to this documentary, right? Watch it, right? You guys up there probably already know about it, but there was a team called the Danbury Trashers, and it was owned by the guy, the mob guy who owns the sanitation company, Sopranos, right? I think that's what Sopranos is based off of. And he bought his son a hockey team, a 17-year-old son, and basically they were the, you know, the Johnstown Chiefs from Slapshot. They were just, it was the league, and it was a fighting league, right? And he did all these crazy promotions, reminding the guy that used to own the White Sox, whose name I can't remember right now. Just do all these crazy promotions just to get people out there and guaranteed a fight a night. Like, basically, he was telling guys, like, when you get out on the ice, drop your stick and beat the shit out of somebody, right? Great documentary. So if you guys like hockey, right, and want to hear a history of Danbury hockey, watch the Danbury Trashers, right? You know, and then, like, again, the wrestling, the bowling, right? Tons and tons of entertainment. And, you know, other than adding Lobo, Sally, us, Arachna, Beware Theater, and then Arachna, that lady, she's on Thursday nights, right? And then I forget who's on Sunday nights. Oh my God. I can't think of his name. But, right, tons and tons and tons, right, of content coming your way live on WWON-TV Brooklyn. All right. So, all right, So let me explain what I got going on with me, right? Like I said earlier, I'm getting my knee operated on Wednesday, right? Guys are out there praying kind. Throw a prayer out there for me, right? The doctor I have is a great guy. He did my other knee, right? And he's one of those guys that's like right up in front with you, like, hey, you got to do this, that, and the other thing. And when I went to him, right, I had been getting injections into my knee, right, to make up for the not having a meniscus. I have no meniscus. I have no ACL. My ACL's gone. My MCL's gone. Basically, when I'm walking, my knee is rocking, And he had told me, he goes, there's nothing more I can do for your knee except replace it. So come back when you want it replaced. I said, well, I'm here. Let's schedule it. So I'm going to get my knee done. And with the time I'm recouping, I volunteered to do a bunch of projects, right? Hey, I can't just sit and relax, right? So I'm doing one project with I think his name's Kurt from Chad and Bunny, right? And we're going to do a movie. I don't know the name of the movie off the top of my head right now. I'll be watching that tomorrow. And then I'm going to try to get a hold of him and see how he wants to do it, because I've never done a collaboration with anyone except for Doc, So, and then Halloween Jack from the Monster Channel had told Doc that if I was ever interested in doing an episode, right, of my version, right, which would be Mad Darbarian post-apocalyptic theater, right, that he would definitely welcome one, and I can't wait to do that. So I'm going to be doing episode for the Monster Channel of Mad Darbarian post-apocalyptic theater, right, and I'm going to be doing a lot of time trying to write out how I want to do it, which will be great because it's going to be different than Cemetery Cinema, right? It has to be, because Cemetery Cinema isn't owned by me, right? I mean, I'm a producer, right? I'm the co-star, right? But I want to be able to do this, and there's some things in it I have to figure out how to do it on OBS Studio, right? And it's once I get it done, right, it's going to be friggin' hysterical. But all right, yeah. So then, and I have that coming up, so I want to try to get those two done, right? So when it comes time, right, that my knee is better, right, I can go and I'm not gonna, when my knee's better, I'm gonna be running around more. I'm actually gonna try to be healthy, right? When I get the dog, because the demon dog passed away around last Thanksgiving, where we're looking to get another puppy in the summer, right? Where what am I gonna do? I'll be able to walk the dog up the hill, right? So I'll be half the Darbarian that you see. I'll probably lose like 30 pounds, Get back to my fighting weight at 200. And in this corner, the mad Darbarian. Oh, one other thing. In April, and I don't have the weekend off the top of my head, but when I get it, right, I'm hosting the Jackie Robinson story at the Ed Bacon Center in Darby. Now, in 20 years ago, which I can't believe it's been 20 years, right? We got a historic marker for a team called the Darby Hilldales in Darby. It was a Negro League team. They won the Negro League World Series in 1925. In 2006, I worked with the Darby Historical Commission, not Society, a writer named Joe Santaguido, and the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame to get a historic marker put on the spot where the field was. Now, granted, right, I had it put up a block more, mainly because the state thought it'd be better for higher visibility and all that kind of stuff. But so, along with that, right, as a Negro League historian, I know, can you believe that? Me. We're going to host the Jackie Robinson story, which I hosted on WON last year, and we're going to show it there at the Bacon Center. And I'm hoping to get a hold of this Negro League historian who's from the Hall, right, to come in and do like a quick 5-minute interview, for that. Right. So, yeah. So let's see. The show, last night's movie, what's coming up, what's new at the station, my knee, and it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be on the top or the bottom, where it'll be the high knee or the below knee. Get all of that, get that done. Let's see. Work with Chad and Bunny, which I can't wait. By the way, if you're watching this, right? I've seen you. I've watched your show. I haven't met you. I asked the Doc and Mrs. Murray about you. Oh my God, you are like one of their best friends, and they were just like that. You are the soul of the earth, a great person to work with. So I can't wait. All right, and then me on Halloween Jack on the Monster Channel. Oh, and once we hit 100 episodes, we are going to syndicate. So, if you are a TV station that wants the quality horror show, right? Stop by Cemetery Cinema, talk to John, right? And we're already going to be on the Vortex. We're already going to be on the Monster Channel, some of our episodes, right? And the Vortex is another, sort of like the Monster Channel, shows all horror hosts and stuff like that. And hoping to be on more public access stations, which will be fantastic. And I'm going to pitch this to like our local stations here, right? Just to see if they want to carry it. You know, I can't, it's syndication. We're going to be out there all over the place. It's going to be totally cool, you know? So, yeah, that's about it. So it's the Mad Darbarian, right? It's, wow, 12 o'clock. I said I wanted to get this done by noon. I have a ton of errands to run. Helga's out of town, right? So I'm going to get all my errands done so I can sit around the house and watch movies. And I got a boatload of movies I want to watch before I get my knee done. And pretty much after I get my knee done, it's just going to be movie marathon day every day. And the guys that are on the Mystery Science Theater channel and the Riff Tracks channel, right, on Pluto, expect me to burn a hole in the remote because I'm going to be watching you guys nonstop, right? The Monster Channel, I'm going to have that on, like, because the Monster Channel I'll probably have on during the day, and then the Misty and Riffs I'll have on at night, right? Because, you know, during the day, right, I'm gonna try to watch the movies to take my notes on for the show, right? And then for at night, I just want to be purely entertained. And if Riff Tracks, they're actually going to do some Mystery Science Theater episodes. So they're going to have Mystery Science Theater episodes with Mike, right? I think he has 4. He did the campaign for. And hey, $100. I always make sure I donate because God knows I got so much entertainment out of Mystery Science Theater over the years. You know what I mean? And one of these days, Doc and I are going to do an episode, Misty style, where it's going to be 2 of us. You know, our pictures will be down here by where the microphone is, right? And we'll just riff the movie, right? And if you have the Stream on a Budget app, look for the Riffers. There's actually a box, and there's the Riff channel, and those guys are really good too. And there's like 2 different shows. There are a bunch of different episodes they did, but there's 2 different shows. I forget what the name of them are, but they're both Mystery Science Theater, Riff Track, that kind of stuff. All right, you guys had enough of me. I'm out. Mad Darbarian for Cemetery Cinema. Mad Darbarian Post-Apocalyptic Theater. Mad Darbarian The Wake. Yeah. And Mad Darbarian movie reviews. Oh, I'm going to go see The Bride on Tuesday. The last thing I do before I get my knee operated on is I'm going to go see The Bride, right? And from what I heard, it's not really that good, you know? And then after that, you know, the first thing I'm going to do on Thursday, after I wake up, when I get home from the hospital, is I'm going to go back and watch the new Nosferatu, the new Frankenstein, and what was the third one? Oh, and the Wolfman one that came out that everybody totally trashed, right? I'm going to watch those 3. I'm going to do my reviews on them, right? And, yeah. So, all right, I'm done. Mad Darbarian, LUT, and see ya. Keep it creepy.